Alright, hello there friends and RC family. My name is Alec from High Noon Hobbies. If you are new to this channel, I very much appreciate you checking it out. I hope that you'll stick around for a little while, watch this video, maybe check the channel out, watch another one, see if this content is worth your while, and if it is, consider subscribing so that I can say to you, if you aren't new to this channel, welcome back to yet another Friday upload. Now, this one might sound a little bit different. I do apologize for that. I am currently out of state, and so I don't have access to all my nifty gadgets and equipment that make me sound better and look halfway decent. So I'm not going to be doing a face cam because all I've got is a webcam, and if I sound a little bit different, that's because I'm actually just using my MacBook microphone, which I hope sounds good. I did some testing beforehand and it seemed like it was doing alright, so hopefully this sounds good to you guys. If not, just turn the volume down and just watch the video, it's fine. But today we are back at White Rocks, Utah, near Dugway, the Dugway testing or Dugway proving grounds. And you know, these are proving grounds in and of themselves for these little RC trucks, especially this Course 2 right here. We're going to be taking a look at T in his Comp Taco going up against Course 2, which if you guys haven't watched the three-part series that I put together of Cameron's runs on Course 1, Course 2, and then his truck breakdowns for this second qualifying round of the North versus South Utah Crawlin Shootout, or Crawlin competition, depending on whether or not you're saying it correctly or saying it like how I like to say it. I like Shootout, you know, it just sounds more cool. But if you guys haven't watched those videos yet, I absolutely recommend you do. And if you have, you're probably very familiar with the fact that this Course 2 is an absolute doozy. Now, one big advantage that I noticed that Cameron had on this course was his use of winches. Now, one of Cameron's trucks had a static winch, or I guess a winch servo, and another one of his trucks had a dynamic winch, which if you're interested in learning more about either of those solutions, you can take a look at that part 3 of that three-part series where he breaks down his trucks and the technology underneath the Lexan bodies. But I did notice that winching was probably the only thing that saved Cameron, or one of the biggest things that saved Cameron a lot of points on this course. Now here, we're having a little bit of an issue, and these reverses are quite unfortunate because T right here is just trying to figure out what's going on. And we're going to pause the time for a second, and he realizes that his bumper has been grabbed by his tire tread, and because he only put one screw on each side instead of 2 screws, like, you know, a kind of a set screw situation, because he only put 1 screw in on each side on that bumper, his tire was able to grab that bumper and actually yank it down, kind of pivot it on itself, and it pivoted it into a position where that tire was then able to grab it and actually he couldn't make a full lock turn without hitting the bumper and causing the wheel to lock up. So obviously that was an easy fix. He was able to just right that bumper back up, and he wants to just tag this gate number 1 because he doesn't want to spend any more time. Now that was a pretty common problem I saw with quite a few people on this course. If your truck wasn't perfectly set up for vertical climbs, and especially for doing that kind of weird crab walk side crawl to get across that gate number 1 like we saw Cameron do in both of his trucks, it was a doozy. And so with this truck, for T being still kind of a work in progress, and he's still trying to tune the tires and tune the suspension, it didn't work out for him, and he ended up just wanting to tag gate 1. Now gate number 2 here was not much easier. I would say that this gate actually got more and more difficult as the day went on, because as you can see, the bottom of the gate is very, very loose dirt and sand, and as that got dug out, the breakover angle caused on the top of that just caused more and more people problems. And the Slut Crawlers crew, we tend to kind of help out throughout the day with these events, and so because of that, we tend to run the courses towards the end of the day, which in this case proved to be a bit of a disadvantage for T, unfortunately. Sometimes it's an advantage to run a course later in the day. If it's cooler in the morning and the sun isn't quite hitting the rock the way you want it to, maybe waiting until a little bit later in the day can be a good thing, because that rock can warm up, you can get better traction, and you know, overall you could have a better time. Unfortunately, this time around, the sun was hitting the rock all day, so that wasn't much of an advantage for waiting until later in the day. But on top of that, a lot of this course was susceptible to being dug out as the day went forward, as we saw on that gate number 2. Gate number 3, no winch or anything necessary, nothing super crazy. That descent was fairly easy, and T made it look so. And then T took a little bit of a different approach than what we saw Cameron take, where he actually looped back around and took the bonus gate before taking this gate number 4 here. Now this one was kind of deceiving, because you thought that you might be able to just slow crawl through this, but as you can see, as T's trying to slow crawl through this gate, the ledge on the bottom there, hanging up his bottom axle, is actually forcing his truck to the right and into that gate. And so by kind of taking a reset there and just using momentum, same as I saw many drivers, I think Cameron used a bit of momentum, but Cameron's trucks were just so freaking planted that he didn't need quite as much momentum as many people. But using just a little bit of momentum there, we saw T made it through that gate absolutely no problem. Now, the challenge gate, the true challenge gate, this gate number 5 gave people absolute hell. And this right here is something that I wanted to demonstrate actually happened to quite a few people. Now, once you made that transition from those bottom 2 couple of rocks onto that rock wall, that was really the time to pull out the winch. And if you didn't have a winch, this is almost without a doubt what was going to happen. You'd start trying to make your way up that wall, up into the cracks so that you could make the gate, and unfortunately, without something giving you just a little bit of downforce on that, a winch or a scale bird, as we saw Nick do in probably one of my first videos, that's still stuck with me. Oh, and that was a really good recovery right there. Awesome throttle, awesome steering angle to be able to recover out of that almost turtle. But yeah, this gave a lot of people trouble when they didn't have a winch. So I would say this is one of the biggest advantages that Cameron had right there, of being able to use his winch to get around that. Now, T, I'm not sure what the thought process was here for him, because I remember talking to him before the run and having him say that he was going to try to reverse down this like most of the contestants did after they kind of saw the precedent was set. But here we've got T just going down straight, and I don't know exactly what his thoughts were with this. I don't know if it was because he had already gone through this little chasm rockfield area once and he didn't have much trouble with it, but here we go for another round through this little rockfield area, and so many competitors got so hung up in this area, and yet T made that look super easy. So that was definitely some great driving on T's part. So we're up to a plus 49, and while that might sound pretty high for this particular course and how difficult it was, this is actually a pretty dang good score. T is trying his very best to use reverses when possible to recover into positions where he can get through the gates as clean as possible, and it's just unfortunate that he doesn't have, at this moment in this video, he doesn't have a winch on this rig, so he's really losing out on some serious potential benefits from having that winch and being able to get himself across some of these gates. So I would say that was probably one of his biggest disadvantages on this course, and that was basically the main point that I wanted to make in this video, is that we can see 2 drivers that are really competent drivers and really competent at putting together some awesome rigs, and one small little detail like leaving out a winch, whether it even be just a dynamic winch. And if you guys aren't familiar with that, again, go back and watch part 3 of the runs, the how to win a 10-gate comp series that I just put out. Part 3, we actually get to see how Cameron's run his dynamic winch, which is essentially just a bungee cord. It's all it is, and it's just wrapped in a specific way to give the best tug, essentially. Now here I noticed that gate 9 is actually over the chalk, and I noticed that that's going to make the difference for T on getting through that gate, so I make sure to just kind of reposition that cone back to where it's actually supposed to be, so that he doesn't get a gate for no reason. Alright, so we're through gate 9 clean, now we're coming on to 10, and again, probably the best demonstration of how important it is to have a winch on this course, number 2, how important it was to have a winch on this course. This gate right here, I didn't see anyone get this that wasn't either just incredibly lucky or they had a winch. And even Cameron's lines where he used his winch to get through, if you go back and watch those, also maybe a bit of luck was involved in getting through the gate clean even with his winch. So we can see T is trying a different approach from Cameron entirely, and I've got a different camera angle so that you can get a better sense of how difficult this gate actually was. But we can see that he's trying to reverse himself up and on to that point, so and then be able to settle his front tires back down onto the rock to the right. Unfortunately, he keeps getting into this position here, where he just gets bellied up on that point, and his front tires just won't settle back down on that rock. And that's what I saw most competitors struggling with. So here we see T taking a different approach to it, and unfortunately he ends up getting locked up and then throttles out, and it just shoots him right over the cone. But final standings there was 9:15.29 with a plus 75. And like I said, that might seem like a high score, but realistically it was a pretty respectable score given how difficult this course was. But that is all I've got for you guys today. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a like, and if you want to see more content like this, subscribe for new High Noon videos every Friday and Sunday. I appreciate you guys watching to the end, and we'll see you next time. Cheers.